The disappearance of the middle class. This changes everything. Once a symbol of the American ideal, the middle class now is quite different. When you're a member of the middle class, it might seem like you're stuck in a difficult position. Everyone thinks you're doing better than low class. You are doing well. You should be alright, and you're below the folks who are truly doing well. So you have nothing to worry about. Your kids would attend a school you like. You possess a vehicle or two, a house, and can pay for your kids' college. Middle class assumptions have been broken. 1/3 of middle income individuals don't have $400 for an emergency, according to a 2018 poll. In surveys, fewer people claim they're middle class, and more say they're working class. Many individuals who formerly considered themselves middle class no longer do. We conceive of economic position as a static state. You're either poor or not poor, middle class or not. Many middle-class families will spend a year or two in poverty. Most American families experience poor or near poor years. Most U.S. middle-class families today face precarity and uncertainty. The American middle class disappeared. Poe Research Center found that the once dominant middle class has progressively declined since the 1970s. In 1971, 61% of Americans were middle class. In 2019, it's 51%. The subject is still discussed. People worry about the diminishing middle class. It's a challenging issue since we don't have a defined definition of the middle class. Recently, someone declared there is no middle class. Middle class disappears. That's political hyperbole, most of us thought. It's a standard to claim that middle class people are struggling, but it's not true. We studied 16 affluent nations' middle classes between 1985 and 2016. The magnitude of the U.S. middle class astonished me. In 1985 and 2016, it was 59%. Even though the middle class hasn't statistically diminished, experts prefer the word squeeze. We think middle-class Americans experience more significant pressure to retain or improve their status. In many American cities, the cost of a middle-class lifestyle has risen. They can't always afford rent, no property ownership. They may not want babies if they're in their 30s since it's too pricey. Forget medical attention if you are hurt. People often lack medical treatment and insurance. This makes someone middle class. The middle class lifestyle is becoming too pricey and unpredictable for younger generations. 60% of the millennials in their 20s were middle income in 2019, compared to 70% of baby boomers. This is Ella. Ella and her husband reside in Texas. Her family's salary of slightly over $100,000 should be middle class. Her family is still suffering financially. Nice! $100 after they were married. $500 in taxes came out of their check before she received any money or purse. Add life insurance for my partner, myself, and my kid. Her son's college fund is likewise growing. She can't do much, but she wants to help him. Her $3,000 check drops to $2,200 before she touches it. Their rent's roughly $1,700. The monthly cost of electricity is approximately $150. The cost of the phone bills comes to around $280. Internet, $60. They are both in possession of autos. Those will cost them around $800. Their insurance costs $400. Monthly expenditure of between $400 and $500 on food. However, this number is rising. They try to budget to the dollar, and it's demoralizing to work all week and have others say, "You're so blessed, you have a terrific job." Middle-class Americans feel pressured for various reasons. First, stagnant earnings. The middle-class proportion of the U.S. income declined 19% between 1970 and 2018. Upper-income families' proportion of total income rose by 19%. Another analysis by the Brookings Institute revealed that after taxes and transfers, middle-class income had increased half as fast as the lowest 20% and the top 20% of income categories. Her income grows by a few thousand. She usually switches jobs to enhance her salary, which isn't secure. Middle-class employees haven't benefited from productivity gains recent 40 years. The average worker is 43% points behind productivity growth. Over the previous 40 years, middle-class workers might have earned 1% point more every year in pay increases. They didn't receive it because of a loss of laborers' share of general income and growing inequality. So the top 10%, but especially the top 1% and top 0.1% took in most of the economic growth benefits. While salaries stagnant, living costs have grown sharply. The average U.S. household income rose 16% in the previous 50 years. Comparatively, home Home expenditures increased 190%, and college tuition rose 264%. She has lived here for 5 years. Her rent and income were $1,100, $1,700, $600 more, not $600. Her income didn't keep up. Rising housing and school costs have placed a massive strain on middle-class people whose incomes don't stretch as far as before. In high-cost cities, the situation is worse. A 2018 research indicated that raising a family in costly coastal cities like San Francisco or New York requires $300,000 annually. 10% of 2020 families earn $200,000 or more. She noticed an apartment near her workplace and thought, it'll be fantastic to walk to work. The efficiency was $2,400. That's crazy, she said. Her 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse costs $5,500. No way will she pay $5,500 and not own it. No, that would be worse. Everyone feels that natives are being driven out to the suburbs so that out-of-staters may enjoy Dallas's fruit, have fun, and be near restaurants. And you know, she has no choice but to live out here. And although it's not the worst place in the world, it's not Dallas. Her hometown is Dallas. It was her childhood home. Her goal is to be in that location. Now, it's unaffordable. Policy making may be the cause and remedy of the middle class squeeze. It's useless. There is no policy to help people, and she feels that if you obtain a job, that's all you need. Go ahead, do it. The stagnation of wages and paychecks began in the 1970s when production slowed but increased after 1970 and in 1980. When inequality soared, the stock market surged, but salaries didn't. Deregulation, high unemployment, union weakness, and not raising the minimum wage are to blame. Globalization with low-wage nations has hampered blue-collar work chance. The economy didn't worsen. Because of governmental choices, economic development didn't reach most people. The Biden administration promised to rebuild the middle class in 2021. The $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure measure from November 2021 and the embedding Build Back Better Act assists middle-income households. Congress remains deadlocked. Time will tell whether these bills affect middle-income families. No change impacts my suffering, pals. They are still budgeting to get things done. If changes are occurring, she doesn't notice the results soon enough. She believes Biden's staff has done well overall against heavy headwinds, ongoing global epidemic. Inflation and staffing shortages are causing global supply chain gaps. She believes both statements. They've done well, but more effort is needed. The American dream may depend on the middle class. This affects how individuals view the American experiment functioning for them, and there are expectations for upward mobility. She believes an unstable work market for many Americans is also a sign of inequality. It's a tragedy that we have as much poverty as 40 years ago, and that the middle class's earnings haven't kept pace with their productivity. This divide, it is harmful to our democratic system. It creates a barrier for the children of these families, making it more difficult for them to go forward in the world. People who belong to the middle class are dangerously close to falling into poverty. One critical situation, one unthinkable outcome. And as you can see, even COVID demonstrates how rapidly folks doing well may suddenly deteriorate to the point where they have nothing at all. This should have been a wake-up call that we need to make some adjustment. I hope you liked and learned something from today's video. If you want to keep improving and being inspired, subscribe and press the bell button to be alerted whenever we upload a video. This has been Market Profits Institute.